Urban Crag Climbing Center is a rock gym located in Dayton, Ohio, with 8,000 feet of textured and sculpted vertical terrain ranging from 28 to 56 feet. For more info, go to urbancrag.com or call 937-224-CRAG.
If you serve your time, once you are released, you are eligible to register at least 30 days before election, and then you have that right to vote again. But many people don't know that. If you are in jail, have been arrested, and you have not been convicted by, when I say convicted, I mean by bench trial, a panel of 3 judges, or jury trial, or have not entered a plea, you are eligible to vote. Now, we don't mail ballots to the jail, but if you have a family member who can bring you an application for absentee, and you complete your application for absentee, sign it, and they send it to the Board of Elections, we will mail that ballot to your home, and then your loved one, your family member, can bring that to you to the jail for you to vote, and then they can return it to the Board of Elections for you or mail it back to us.
Just for clarification on that, are you saying that if someone, like, for instance, if they speeding tickets or whatever, and they get arrested, that doesn't disqualify them from voting?
No, it does not disqualify them from voting.
Okay, so only if they're convicted.
That's more than that, what she said. If you're being held on something worse, if you're in jail awaiting your trial,
Okay.
you haven't been convicted yet,
You
you
still
can still
good.
vote. So it's beyond
Okay.
traffic tickets and that. It's even serious things where you haven't had a trial yet, not been convicted yet. You're waiting for however long it takes sometimes. You can still vote. But,
In this
but again,
country,
yeah.
you're considered innocent until proven guilty. So you have not been convicted.
You know, anyone who's convicted of a felony or whatever, you know, they come out of prison. 99% of them are under the impression that they can never vote again. I mean, this is like all over the place I have found. And somehow we have to figure out a way to educate these men and women that, okay, you're done, your time has been served, so now you have that right again and register. But, I mean, you can talk and talk, and they just don't believe it. It's been ingrained in, ground in their head that they no longer have that right.
Are there states where you can't vote? though?
Yeah.
There are some
Yes.
states, Florida,
Yes.
Right, in the state of Ohio.
right.
Yeah.
Is there an active,
And I have some brochures, I didn't bring any with me, that I give to people when they just don't believe it. And I hand those out. You
I
have
have some for returning, but we call them returning citizens.
some? Okay.
So if anybody wants this,
yeah, it's just an education, it's all that it is. It's nothing special, it's just more education. There's lots of things we don't know as people. That's simply one of those things. We simply need education, and that's all that it is.
Well, what happens, first of all, when a person is convicted of a felony and then sentenced to prison? So what actually takes effect
Okay.
with regarding their voting?
Voter registration.
Right.
Monthly, the question is, what happens when a person goes to prison, is convicted, and then sentenced to prison? At the Board of Elections, every month, electronically, we get a report from the clerk's office. And they only send a report for the people who are sentenced to serve time in prison.
Okay.
If they're granted probation, there are any kind of community control, they're not on the list. So once we receive the list, we cancel the voter registration for those people who are on the list from the clerk of court's office.
Okay.
We
So,
used to mail them as a courtesy, mail them a letter, but all the letters came back because, they were gone to prison and the family member, at last address we had, there would be at large. So it was a waste of postage, we felt, but it was a courtesy, nothing that was required.
well, the reason I was asking the question is because a lot of times it does come down to semantics and terminology. But, one of the points I think that I was hearing is that their right is never taken away. Their registration, like you said, and that's important because once they get out, they can register. It's just like if you're registering to drive a car. You are responsible for making sure that you register, but your right is not taken away. So I think that's one of the things that maybe as far as education, may be able to help, because I've encountered that myself, even as I've been campaigning, talk to people who say, well, I can't vote. And I say, why? Well, because I served time for a felony. Okay, well, that doesn't mean you don't, that you don't have that right, so, that could be part of it.
I've done everything you've asked me to do. I can't do it anymore. Can you purify me? Will you get out of my head and into my stomach? Purify me. Purify me!